is lithium works. So if you want to green the earth, if you really want to, if you believe in the green revolution, then storage batteries are going to be the future for sure. And storage batteries inside anything that's moving has to be lightweight. And lithium, number 3, extremely lightweight, so it works. So I think everybody's finally accepted the thesis of that. And now it's, where do you get it in economically harvestable quantities? And
it seems to me is that whenever there is a kind of a more of a debate, it's talking about some of the other ingredients required. So it's, can we use nickel instead of cobalt? Can we use this instead of this? How much graphite? But it's always, listen, we need to have the lithium there.
It's not going away. The U.S., as you pointed out, the U.S. only produces 2% of its domestic demands for lithium. 2%. So most of the lithium is imported. But more importantly, all of the components for batteries and batteries themselves are all imported from Japan, Korea, and China. And there's no domestic producer of batteries, cathodes, and the lithium raw material. And that's got to change unless the U.S. wants to get stuck in foreign reliance like they did in the oil world, then you got to have a domestic. So, and
that's such a concern is if you're this whole new energy boom, if you're choosing to not participate, it's a big mistake. I even mean that for a retail investor. If you're not paying attention to this massive shift in energy, this is like intergenerational wealth, at stake here.
100%. I mean, think about this. 3 years ago, you would drive to work and you might see one Tesla on your way to work, right? And you go, wow, there's a Tesla. Well, now you can turn your head in any direction and see a Tesla on the road all the time beside you. Now there's probably 50 cars in sight when you're on the road. So, they're not all Teslas yet. There's a big paradigm shift coming here. There's going to be a lot of electrification of the transportation system, and boats, trains, trucks, cars. So big demand for lithium coming, no doubt. And what a better place for it than, say, Nevada, where Nevada's mining friendly, lots of infrastructure, very low population. It's the perfect place for big, open, cut and cover or heap leach mines. And as you know, from all the gold industry. And I actually liken this whole, I don't know how long we got here, but I actually liken this whole lithium trade to what happened to the gold trade in the 1970s. In the 60s, you had gold priced at $35 an ounce. It was capped there, right? And so gold mining occurred in narrow vein, high grade gold mining ventures. Boom, Bretton Woods, 1971, deregulation of gold to the US dollar, and gold free floats and runs to $800 that decade.
Yeah.
You had the advent of Newmont, Placer Dome, American Barrick, Franco-Nevada, all these big mining giants that came and built big open pit, low grade heap leach mines in Nevada to produce 7% of the world's gold. And that's the future of lithium. There are big, low grade surface deposits of lithium that were laid down by those same volcanoes, or the same craton that populated the gold sediments. So there's your opportunity. Lithium Americas is first in line for it with Thacker Pass, and we're a couple years behind them. But there's the map. What a great spot! You're going to see a whole battery industry developed all through the California and the Southwest states. They're determining now where they're going to build their cathode plants, and the nice thing about TLC is that there's all the input materials are right nearby. If you look at the basic flow sheet design for lithium leaches, you need lime. We've got lime just up the hill. You need soda ash, and you've got that in the Trona deposits of Wyoming. You've got sulfur for your sulfuric acid generation from the petrochemical industry that's all in the region. And then we bought water rights last year. So we pretty well have all the basic materials we need, and we're working on all the engineering and metallurgy of it now. So
maybe we take a quick step back, just say for someone who's new to the space and they say, okay, like, how do we produce lithium? So you've got like the clay, which you have here, brine. You have a more of a petrochemical type of process one can do, and then you've got your hard rock. So if we took a step back and said, okay, listen, if you're just new to this space, this is the types, here's where we're sitting, here's where American Lithium has an advantage. And then on top of that, you also have a more of a technical advantage I see posted where you've reduced the time in order to, to like 10 minutes in order to produce and increase the grade by like 66%. I'll let you talk about that a bit more, but just give us a bit of a background about.
Sure. So it doesn't matter really what you mine, any metal, if you want to get it out of the ground or out of the rock that it's in, you've got to put it in a liquid to get it out. Right? You got to dissolve it in something or float it in something. And so lithium's no different. And the reason that it gets produced in such large quantities in South America right now is because it was already in liquid down there. It's in the saltwater brines that sit in these big salt lakes, and they pump it up to the surface, and they use wind and solar energy to evaporate it out. But you have to, there are several metals that are all sort of similar: iron, aluminum, magnesium, and lithium, and they're all in the rock or in the brine together, and they all come out in the rinse. And so you need to be able to drop each one out or work each one out so that you end up with a purified lithium product. And that's what draws the difference between all these salars and the brines that they produce lithium out of is what are the grades of magnesium in them? How difficult is it to get that out? What's the grade of the lithium matters too, but all the deleterious materials matter. Brine is probably the easiest and lowest cost in the production scale. It's because it's already in water. You don't have to grind the rock or leach it out. It's already there. And of course, Chile in the Atacama has the cheapest prices of all. Argentina is a little more lower grade, and so it's a little more expensive, and political issues down there and repatriation of capital are issues. So you're not seeing a lot of big developments in Argentina. The other big source for lithium is the hard rocks in Australia and northern Quebec, and maybe, according to Piedmont, in the Carolinas. And those are pegmatites. They're from 1% to 1.5% lithium oxides. That's traditional mining. You quarry it up, you grind the rock up, and then you concentrate it, and then you ship the concentrations off to a refiner or a converter, they're called. And most of those are in China right now. So they buy concentrated spodumene from Australia and produce a lithium product there. The third type of lithium source rocks is the claystones. There are big claystone deposits in Western North America. And so that's what we are working on. There is not a lithium claystone in production yet, but it looks like Thacker Pass, that's owned by Lithium Americas, has their permit now and is about to spend $1 billion to build that operation. And so that's the space we're in. It looks like it's going to come in at the lower end of the cost curve by the time we're done here, maybe around $4,000 a ton for production. And given that lithium carbonates trade right now at $13,000 a ton, could be a pretty good margin there. You mentioned that we were, so I'll just touch on this quickly.
Yeah. How
quickly you can leach your rock out matters, or leach your lithium out.
Yeah.
What's really interesting about TLC, our project, and look, there's 5.3 million tons of lithium carbonate there in measured and indicated, and some inferred as well. But what we found is that the lithium leaches out in 10 minutes. And we'll compare that to, say, Thacker Pass, which is about 140 minutes, and some other competitors that are even longer times. And if you go look at our website or our info decks, you'll see the times of these others. And or you can go reference their own recovery times on their own websites. But suffice to say, ours leaches out very fast. The problem, though, because there's always good with bad and bad with good, is that everything leaches out really quickly in our ore. So you get not just the lithium out, you get the magnesium out, the aluminum out, and everything else out. There you go. And so you got to figure out how to selectively get out your lithium and not all the deleterious things.
Yes. And
so we announced about 3 weeks ago that we can use mechanical beneficiation. And so that's what Lithium Americas uses at Thacker Pass. And what we're able to do is we're able to put our rock through a hydrocyclone, or a centrifuge is what I guess would be the common name people might use. But actually a hydrocyclone is different, but they're both two devices that you can use. Hydrocyclones are actually used commercially at many thousands of tons a day. So that's ultimately what we'll be using. But we can take our say 1,200 part per million lithium feed, run it through hydrocyclone and reduce the mass by 49%, while maintaining over 70% of the lithium. The end result is that our feed goes from, say, a 1,200 part per million lithium count to over 2,200. We almost double the grade. Yes. And that's significant, because now with that fast leach time following, if you've got the grade doubled and you've reduced a lot of the other things that you don't want out, you're using far less acid, far less input mineral chemicals like lime, as I mentioned, and soda ash, and all the things that you need down your flow sheet to ultimately capture lithium alone. That's the game changer for us, being able to upgrade the ore. Ore is not the right choice of words, because we haven't done an economic study yet. The material, I'll call it. Material, yeah. To be able to upgrade the material mechanically means that's a one-time cost. That's your equipment. And then the minimum cost of running that equipment. It's not all those input chemicals nonstop to get your end product. Game changer for us.
Absolutely.
That sounds to me like it's just exactly it's essentially a more cost-effective and environmentally friendly way of doing this. Correct me if I'm wrong, but
that's right.
That's sort of the way I'm interpreting it.
Absolutely.
Brilliant.
Yeah, less acid use, less liming use, less soda ash use. That's if you're, I mean, think about this. For every ton of rock that you're digging up, your acid consumption might be 250 kilograms per ton, and your lime could be at least that number, and your soda ash. And so that's a lot of raw materials that you're moving around the globe to get to your site to produce an end product. And so you've got all the diesel burning to get those to your site, all the energy to mine them, to produce them. And so environmental, and that's the big thing now is social environmental stewardship and proper governance, and it matters. And so, for us trying to get this, ultimately, we hope that this is a cut and cover mine, not an open pit either. So,
all of these things add up and matter, especially today with the ESG movement, and having a stable source to meet the demand. Like, so much of these batteries are made in China, and that's fine. But when you have Tesla next door, you've got enough people who can use right away. It's not only makes the transportation of things, as we see, like custodial use of like sending things around the world is a lot more difficult today, with COVID and moving forward with people very conscious of pandemics and whatnot. It's better to have something in store, in country, available to be used sooner than later.
I agree. I think the whole world's sort of, in the last few years, we're seeing this nationalistic trend where every country's, there's less globalization. Yep. There's more nationalization. We're all trying to do our own thing, and look, it's happening in the European Union. It's happened all across the whole Arabic continent.
Yeah.
It's all over the place. Yeah, you're seeing this, and look at the tariff fighting between China and the U.S. and so yeah, domestic supplies, domestic production this is going to be really important for the future. And
I like to put it in this context too, is like, I could be off a little bit on the numbers if someone gets detailed. It's like 3 grams of lithium is needed in a phone, so in your mobile, but it's like 110 pounds in a Tesla, somewhere around there.
Yeah, it's something like that. It's big.
Yeah. It's big.
It's big. I think the world's using about 350,000 tons of lithium right now, but they're expecting that to be tenfold by, I don't know, 2030 or 2035. And I can tell you there's going to be a shortage for sure coming in the next 2 or 3 years. There's going to be a big price squeeze because bankers don't like risk. And the lithium market's so new. It's gone from $1,500 or $2,000 a ton in 2010 to as high as $25,000 a ton in February 2018, back down to $6,500 a ton 6 months ago, and now at $13,000 a ton.
Yeah,
but it's so new that there's no London Metals Exchange bids on it. There's no New York Merck contracts. There's sporadic offtake agreements with end users and suppliers. So bankers can't get that risk laid off, so they won't put up the $500 million to build these projects.
Yes.
And we're seeing that. Like Millennial Lithium has been all the way through bankable feasibility. It's got an amazing project in Argentina. Argentina's a bit of an issue, but it's got a good project through bankable feasibility, probably about 80 million in the bank, and it needs another 450 million to build the project, and haven't been able to get the money yet or a partner to do it. And that just tells you that there's this apprehension in the finance community to fund these big things. And the end upshot of all that is that if you don't fund it, then there's no mine to supply it.
Yes.
And when all those car companies that say they're going to be ending internal combustion engines by 2035 or whatever, when they need all these batteries for electric cars, they're not going to be there unless there's some movement in this space and soon. So.
Yes. I think I saw a report by Ross Skills, and it was saying the next 5 years is 20%, and that seemed pretty conservative to me. But this is perfect because you've talked about Millennial, you talked about Argentina, but you guys over at American Lithium, I mean, it's still you because you are founder of Millennial, but American Lithium also, you're waiting, I believe it's on May 2nd, but it was mid-February you announced the acquisition of Plateau Energy Metals. So that's Chile. So that gives you another region, a well-known lithium region, and a great project, a great team. Tell us about that. Tell us what to expect. That's big news.
It is big news. So we have a pretty strong market presence. We have 35,000 U.S. shareholders. We might talk about that a little later, but because of our market cap and our strength, we knew the lithium market was going to turn around. So we started looking for good assets to buy last year, and the one that stood out to us was Plateau. 3 really big assets, all in Peru, but a big lithium deposit, the 5th largest uranium deposit in the world, and a great technical team. And so we worked out a deal to buy them in a stock transaction that benefits them. It provides everything that they needed, and it provides a bunch of things that we needed. We really wanted their technical team. We really wanted their lithium asset, and we have a very strong ability in capital markets to raise money and get good support. And they were struggling a little bit. They had some complications in Peru. They had I'll say a group that was, I don't know, Jay, we're just the lithium trade. I mean, if your followers go back and look at the lithium trade, February 2018 was the peak, and it's been misery for 3 years for most of these companies, and they were stuck in that, and so that was our opportunity. But just an amazing lithium deposit called Falciani that's at 3,000 parts per million. It's already been through PEA. Their flow sheet chemistry works. They've already produced battery grade lithium. We're going to take it through PFS in the next 12 months and move that project forward. They have their current interim CEO, Lawrence Stephan, who was their president and COO, is coming on as our president and COO in the merger, and just a really bright man, an economic geologist. He spent years in uranium and lithium exploration and development, and so we're thrilled to have him, and we're thrilled to have this project going forward. And I mean, what it does is it allows us to move two projects forward at the same time, TLC and Falciani, that have very completely different rocks. We're a claystone, they're a volcanic tooth, they're a hard rock, but the process is the same, the chemistry is the same. So 1 and 1 is 5. We get to do all that flow sheet engineering and the PFS work on two things at the same time.
This is where I think, and it's May 2nd is the vote. So mid-May, assuming everything goes fine, it passes. I expect to see a big lift off and momentum then, because it is two great projects and teams coming together in a space that there's such a demand.
We think so. And you know, and the other thing that people don't think about in this, well, that's not fair to say. I think that some people think about it, but investors maybe don't realize the uranium asset that's in that company carried a market cap of $120 million on its own in 2008. It's a very valuable asset. We've had several groups try and buy it. And so that comes into the company too. And ultimately we'll use that to the benefit of shareholders. I don't know what that is right now. I don't know if it's dividending it out or spinning it off or joint venturing it to a major that will put it in production. I just don't know.
Yes.
But we'll use that to the value of our shareholders.
That's a huge factor when we see, it'll be months away still, but I know the Biden team will be looking at, and they've been fairly pro-uranium. I mean, they're very, very new energy conscious, and whenever they review again what they're going to do with that, with their uranium approach, I think that will be very interesting times indeed to have such a great asset.
Yeah, and so May 15th or thereabouts would be the merger date, and then we'll be trading as one, and we're well funded. We've got about 12 million in the bank right now combined. We've been talking to some of our shareholders about a bit of a financing right now. I don't want to.
Interesting. Okay.
I don't want to get into that right now, but there'll be something said fairly shortly. It's okay. I think shareholders will appreciate it, and then it's moving forward with all our plans of exploration and development and economic study to get to feasibility levels, and then maybe, I don't know, looking at whether one of these things gets to production in 2024 or 2025. And Thacker Pass got their whole deal done in 2 years. Their permitting done in 2 years. So who knows? We'll see. And we didn't even really get into a lot of the bits and pieces, and we don't need to. Any of your followers can reach out to us, and we'll talk about our plan of operations and data and all the environmental studies we've done and all the stuff that we've put together to get to this point. But yeah, look, it's exciting times are coming.
Yeah, I mean, one thing I wanted to just reconfirm or re-talk about is that people always talk, they go Nevada, and they know, well, if you look into the space a bit, water rights is critical, and you've got that sorted out. So people say, well, okay, great, you're going to have to use a lot of water. Where are you getting the water from? You've got that sorted out. And also dealing with the environmental concern, having this new approach is working out so well. It's great to see a environmentally friendly solution, this green solution with lithium and lithium batteries and energy moving forward, having a more friendly environmental impact than before as well, in highly regulated North America, which is also outstanding. I always kind of push for that, is that, if you're really concerned about the environment and you want to have a say, the best place to do it is in a place where you can have say in that regulation.
Yeah. Yeah, it's I think that American Lithium, and now combined with Plateau, we got the best of both worlds. We're in two really strong mining jurisdictions. Peru's a really strong mining jurisdiction. It's had a solid code for years and years and years. A lot of global developers operate in the country. So looking forward to our work down there. Nevada's straight up. It's not that complicated there. BLM worked with us really well for all of the exploration so far. We've got our plan of operation in now with them. We expect that to get approved in the next 3 or 4 months, and just keep moving forward. So
I think if anyone wants to get a concept, I have to be hesitant when I make comparables, but if someone wants to look at Lithium Americas, at their market cap, at their growth with their PEA and whatnot, you can start to postulate, listen, if things go according to plan, you start growing, you start building out, there's a lot of wiggle room. Let me just put it that way. I don't like to talk, projections forward and whatnot, and don't want to make people uncomfortable, but you can see there's a lot of room for market cap to grow here for you guys with this plan in place. Which people want to see, like how much more growth can there be? There's going to be quite a bit. We
think so. And so, I mentioned earlier, American Lithium has 35,000 US shareholders.
Yes.
We're going to do a US registration statement this year. Once the merger gets out of the way, we'll start that process. And I suspect that providing that goes well and that we qualify, we will attempt to do an uplisting on one of the more senior US exchanges. So, that always benefits, I guess, it brings increased liquidity, increased investability, it's just generally better for a company. And so we're going to see if we can get that done later this year, and that should be good. But I think the market cap of American Lithium was north of 500 million a month or two ago, and all these lithiums have come off about 30 or 40%.
Yeah,
and but
there's a lot of wiggle room when the dust settles, the deal gets done, you start progressing and moving forward. I would anticipate, once again, I hate to predict the future, but I feel confident that as management continues hitting milestones, they continue doing what they're saying they're going to do, and they're meeting this demand that's required. We have lots and T's in place. Hopefully, a lot of these trillions of dollars that you see, not only from like the Biden plan, but there's Goldman Sachs, there's BlackRock Capital. They're actively putting trillions into this new energy space. So these will be coming on. It would be great to see if we see any of them jumping in more actively. But it's hard to place big money like that as well into juniors that are building.
Yeah, I think it's early in the game. I believe that one. Absolutely. Yeah.
Beautiful. Well, Andrew, thank you so much for coming on and chatting to us about lithium and helping to get some of the newer people looking at this, and why I'm trying to get people excited about new energy and why mining is critical and a foundation for everything innovative that we're doing. So I appreciate you taking the time and talking specifically about American Lithium and your purchase there, some of the benefits and developments that have been going on, because this really is a company that people, if they could just take their time frames to a regular couple of years, I think they're going to be very happy with what you guys are doing as an investment. So once again, thank you for taking time to educate us.
Thank you very much, Austin. Thanks a lot, Andrew. As always, thank you.
Thanks for coming on, Andrew. Appreciate it.
Gentlemen, have a great day.
Take care.
Thank you. Bye.